In this session, we'll look at reaction coordinates for sulfonation and sulfonation of benzene. But before we can draw the reaction coordinates graph, let's first understand the reaction for sulfonation and desulfonation of benzene. So, we'll start with sulfonation, and we said that the first thing that happens here is the formation of the electrophile. So 2-sulfuric acid reacts, so we have this sulfuric acid like that. These 2-sulfuric acids are going to react like that. So since this oxygen has lone pairs of electrons, it will grab the hydrogen. Then this bond between hydrogen and oxygen is going to break, taking the electrons to oxygen, which is more electrophilic. Then what we are going to have is hydrogen bonded to oxygen. Then we have hydrogen there, which has been added. So we are just trying to protonate this oxygen. Then we have SO3H, then plus this base, which is OSO3H with a negative. Then that water, since it's a good leaving group, it will leave, then leaving behind this SO3, because the oxygen has carried with it the electrons. SO3 will remain positive, so we're going to have that SO3H, which is positive. So this is the electrophile we need when we are doing sulfonation. So since we have made our electrophile there, then we'll use our benzene ring like that. It will react with this now made electrophile. So the double bond is going to attack to grab this electrophile. Then what we are going to form will be this structure. So we're going to form this now with the electrophile attached like that. Then there we should have a carbocation. Then we know that on this carbon there is a hydrogen which is just hidden. So this hydrogen can now be deprotonated. We can use the base which we formed. The base was OSO3H, which are the negative, so it will grab this hydrogen. Then the bond will be broken, neutralizing the positive charge, hence forming the double bond there. So we are going to have this now structure with the electrophile attached like that. Then this structure is what is known as benzene sulfonic acid. Then we can now draw, since we have our structure there, we can now draw the NH profile diagram, which we are calling the reaction coordinates for sulfonation and sulfonation. So how this diagram is, we need to have the x-axis and also the y-axis and the x-axis like that. Then we are going to say on the x-axis, that is the reaction progress. Then on the y-axis, we are going to say we can have free energy on the y. Then the graph simply moves like that. So this is how the graph move. Okay, let me just make it smooth. So the graph moves like that. So this side we have sulfonation. Okay, so on this side we have sulfonation. Then on this other side we have desulfonation. So on sulfonation, the first thing we said, it is this benzene ring like that reacting with the electrophile, which is SO3H. Then there will be what is known as a transition state at this point, whereby there will be a carbocation, or there's this point where we are going to form that carbocation. So we need also to indicate it, and this happens at this point. So I'll just show it like this. So I'll show a benzene ring. So let me use a different ink for this one. I'll show a benzene ring like that, then attached to this electrophile. Then at this point we have a hydrogen, and we have one carbon which has a carbocation. So one bond should be broken there. So I'm going to draw it like this. With these two bonds like that, then with the electrophile attached at this point, then we have a carbocation there, and we know that here there's a hydrogen. So we draw and show at this point there is carbocation formation. So there is carbocation formation. Then at the end here we just need to show this structure now. So the structure will now be with this compound attached like that. Okay, then we can even show plus the hydrogen, which is going to be protonated. Okay, since this is the sulfonation state. So this is how we draw this this diagram, which we call the reaction coordinate. So this is the reaction coordinate. Oh yeah. So I was by the library in the morning. Yeah, I don't know you. I just came back. So this is the reaction coordinate for sulfonation and desulfonation. So if in case we are asked to draw this, we just draw this after diagram. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.